Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gateway, broadcasting from the edge of the Mojave, where the strange slips through the cracks. We are live on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM. I'm your host this evening, C.L. Thomas. Tonight's discussion is about remote viewing, and my special guest, Travel Channel's Bryan Bowden. It's Sir Bryan Bowden. He's a skilled remote viewer, a psychic medium, and a Knights Templar, and he's going to be talking about his life with remote viewing, a little bit of what he does, and he might even give us a little demonstration in part 2 of the program. But before we get into that, you've been listening to Into the Night with Sean Kelly. He comes on again on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific, and sometimes I join him on that show. So you'll have to check it out, Sundays at 6 o'clock Pacific time. It's currently 86 degrees here in the Mojave. We are currently in the middle of monsoon season, which is bringing some flooding and sandstorms across the valley. It's been actually really interesting. It's been thundering and raining here up in the highlands most of the afternoon. I don't know about all of Las Vegas. It kind of works spotty when you're out in the desert, but for us in the highlands, it's been all afternoon. The same weather pattern has delayed the opening of the annual Burning Man Festival. It will be interesting to see how the event will get started over the next 24 hours. Other news around Las Vegas Valley. Over 70 mounds of human remains were found about an hour outside Las Vegas, way out in the desert, in a place called Searchlight. The remains were all cremated and believed to be around 70 people. They're still doing some research and an investigation is underway to see how the remains got there and where they came from. Of course, one thought comes to mind. Mob activity? Was it the mob? We will find out at some point. Over the weekend, I was in Biloxi, Mississippi, and I came across a very suspect abandoned property along a state nature trail system. I went hiking, and I didn't want to do anything paranormal. I just went hiking, and this trail goes through the marsh, it goes through the woods, and is supposed to come out right on the bay. Yeah, I never made it to the bay. I got stopped in my tracks by this creepy house in the middle of the woods surrounded by these 500-year-old live oak trees. A very interesting property. I will post some images later this week from that trip, and I'm not going to say any more about it because it's this piece of property really has me thinking about a lot of things, and a lot of sad stuff has happened there. So my guest, Sir Bryan M. Bowden, born and raised in New York City, began his career in an international finance before following his lifelong passion for the unexplained. Since 1977, he has investigated UFOs, Sasquatch, the Dogman, and other phenomena worldwide, becoming a founding member of Bronxville Paranormal Society and later launching the New York State UFO, Sasquatch, and Dogman Projects. He's recognized as a skilled remote viewer, psychic medium, and Knights Templar. Bryan has earned a reputation as both a field investigator and thought leader in the paranormal. We don't have a lot of those, do we, anymore in paranormal? Beyond his investigative work, Bryan is a host and author and frequent media guest, appearing on shows like UFO Witness and Discovery Plus specials. He also launched Third Eye Live on YouTube, and he is still a host of Third Eye. Very interesting show. He also continues to speak at conference nationwide. Tonight he joins us to explore the practices of remote viewing, and he will guide us through a live demonstration where the audience can take part in this experience. I'm not sure how we're going to do that just yet, but we are definitely going to do that. So Sir Bowden joins me now. Hi. So should I call you Sir Bryan?
No, just Bryan. I just someone used that before. I think it was Ron Murphy, and when we used to do a show called Inside the Goblin Universe, and even Mark Eddy, who's in chat right now, it's like, okay, Sir Bryan. I'm like, I'm just Bryan. I am a Knights Templar. It's through an organization. It's an appended body, but I follow the philosophy of the Knights Templars. And I was telling you backstage there, if you look into the Knights Templars, there's about 25 different versions of it worldwide. I happen to know one of the Grand Masters are the ones that are, it's more on the esoteric side. It's enlightenment and also following certain teachings. And that's how I treat people with, the utmost respect, and what I believe that the original Knights Templars would have done.
How does one become a Knights Templar? Just out of curiosity.
Well, for me, I went through. I am a Freemason, and I am not the Illuminati. Trust me, I've seen my bank account. And then there are, once you get through the 3 degrees that make you a Freemason, you have different bodies. You can go on different York or Scottish Rite, and under those bodies are appended bodies, which one of which is the Knights Templars.
Do you
And yeah,
do you have
that's
to
it.
be Scottish or Irish to do that?
No, you don't. But there is a lot of Scots men and women that are from the original Knights Templars that hail back into De Lomé and Saint Leclerc. Leclerc. So there's a bunch of them. There's another person, Michelle De Roche is
Yes.
yeah, she has direct lineage to one of the originals, and it wasn't like they were muscle. They were there to preserve I guess Christianity as far as what Christ was doing, not what became of it when things, what the church is. When you discover the truth of what it really is, and the truth, the positiveness and the treatment of people and talking directly to God, it's a different type of way. It's not about control, where the churches have been in control, or governments and whatever. So that's why they gained so much popularity. They were really the original. I'm going to use the word Robin Hoods. Not robbing from the rich, but they were owed a ton of money, and they were helping out people who were poor. So I've always I've heard the phrase, "Oh, you're a nice guy," and I'm like, no, I'm a good man who can be nice, and then I can be something else. It depends, on the person, right?
Well, I
So
think it's a trait everybody has.
yeah, well, I
Right?
mean, some people are just bending over backwards to fit into a crowd. I don't care what people think of me. I don't care about some of the stuff that they come up with is just like, ooh, do tell, like some of these things are just like,
I
it's
wish I was more like that because I do care. I was just telling you backstage
yeah,
about an incident 2 weeks ago, and I always get hurt by that stuff. I don't know.
because you have a good heart, you have a good soul, and you wouldn't do that to others. But there are plenty of people that are keyboard warriors that don't really have the greatest life, maybe haven't had that kind of positiveness in the world, and they just look at the world as, half empty
Yeah.
instead of half full. I remember I went into a store, and it was a Korean run grocery store in New York, where I was originally from, and they were like really devout, and they're like, "Happy Good Friday," and the guy was having a bad day. He goes, "What the blank is so good about it?" and walked out, and I'm like, "Whoa."
Wow.
So I think in my path throughout life, trying to figure things out, yeah, I've been on the bad side of things, and you get to a crossroad, and you say, I can end up there and do things that way, or I can change, and I make the change. And just because I made the change doesn't mean the bad guy's not there. We put them on the back burner. Not to say I'm a bad person, but I'm not going to sit there and take it. If you push
Mhm.
just far enough, you're gonna have a problem. But I like to help people. I used to get upset too. I would warn people about things, and people would ridicule you online or whatever it is, especially social media, which I think is the most
Oh,
evilest
yeah,
thing on
that's the
planet.
worst.
Yeah. And one of my friends goes, Brian, I want to be good. You're on UPN, so I don't want to curse, but they said, blank, you know, you did what you were supposed to do. You let them know about it, and now they have the choice to make. So that's what it is. I put stuff out. A lot of times, if you see my posts, I have to breadcrumb. I am under tremendous amount of eyes for some reason. Um, I was talking to a gentleman out of Canada on my phone, and in my car. It comes up on the caller ID, so his picture comes up. And while we're talking about some extraterrestrials that are actually mining some of the rings of Jupiter and Saturn. He was, discussing what he's seen or knows. And boop, I saw someone else beep in. It's all zeros, which means it's government. There's no other caller ID like that. It's all zeros. And I go, just so you know, we have a listener now. I don't think I'm a threat to anything. I'm just trying to help people navigate the proper path through life.
Right. So you've been doing remote viewing for a really long time. Can you start us off by explaining what remote viewing actually is and how it differs from other psychic practices?
Sure. So I've been doing things that are on the remote viewing line that I didn't know was remote viewing initially. I would use my mind, my consciousness, and we have a third eye or consciousness. And in my head, my mind's eye, I would be on the back of a bus. And I'd sit there because I was coming back from New York City, back up to one of the boroughs where I live, bored. So I'm in the back of the bus. It's like 3:00. People are getting on. And I'm looking at someone. I'm staring at them going, turn around, turn around. I'd say hi, turn around. And I'm saying it in my head. Sometimes I'm not basically whispering it, but I'm focused on them. And every once in a while, you get people that sheepishly will, make the turn. Right? You're connecting with them. Your consciousness and your energy field is connecting with theirs. You're vibrating on a frequency. I learned vibrating later on. But then there would be other people that just turn around and just look at you like, cut it out. They're really on it, but they don't realize they're really on it. And these are the same people that everybody has this ability. I don't care what God you believed in or whatever it is, but when God created man in his image, this is the gift and ability he gave you to talk to God and connect back up to God and the source of, Kosh record, the ultimate information, so you can communicate. Okay. You don't need to go to a building. You don't need to go out on Sunday. You don't need to lay at the bed and put your hands together and do whatever, or whatever your thing is. What that does for some people is build community. Okay. But in general, for me, I think of it more as control. And I think there's certain bastardization taking place in these things. I'm not sexist. I can't be. I have 2 daughters and they'll kill me, and I'm just not. But they've always asked me, like, do we have to go to the temple or what? I said, no, you don't have to go to a temple. God is everywhere. God's here right now. Not only is God here right now, all your passed on relatives are here. There are extraterrestrials here. There are interdimensionals. There are ultra-terrestrials here. And it all involves your consciousness, your third eye, and vibrating at a frequency. And that's how it started. It started with that. It also started by, I'd come home and I'd be like, oh, I didn't know so-and-so was sick. My mother was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, isn't like Mark sick? And they're like, no, where'd you get that? And then a few moments later, the phone would ring and it'd be a friend or a family like, oh, Mark's sick. Mark, he's not doing well. Not you, Mark, in chat. You're doing a lot better. That's my buddy and co-host, Mark Eddy Productions. He's a great guy. But I would know things. I would know the outcome of things well in advance of them happening. And I can tell you all what would be taking place and when it would take place. And I know timing. And I've always been interested in the subject. So I used to sit there. We were talking about that deck of cards they had of a star, a couple of squiggly lines.
Mm-hmm.
They're like a lightning bolt or a cube, whatever it was.
I forget what those cards are. What are those cards called? Those in the audience. I know somebody knows the answer to that.
Yeah, someone's got to know. They used to use it way back when I was watching TV shows growing up. Like, I think they called it Psi cards, PSI. So I've been doing this for a while. Then when I went on an investigation with a group that I was part of, Bronxville Paranormal
cards. Thank you.
Which one?
Zener
cards. Okay. Because I think they were developed. this is and if you think about the concept of when these came out, the 70s was when the CIA started learning that Russia was using spies and
Mhm.
working on development of the consciousness. So that's when we started with, um, working on all these different projects, Stanford Research Institute,
Like
uh,
Stargate.
Stargate, yeah, all of them. And, Joseph McGonigal, who is part of Monroe, he still teaches there, um, who is like, he was spot on about stuff. And we were just talking about when people don't believe you. And Joe used to tell a story about, like, discovering that the Russians were building a huge submarine, like the largest nuclear submarine the world's ever seen. And they were like, there's no way they're building it. They're so far away from it. He goes, that's what they're building. He's seen it. He's been in the building. He saw the blueprints. When you remote view, you don't physically have to be there. You are literally where you are, and your consciousness is traveling to the location. And you can see, smell, touch, taste, and manipulate if you like.
Now, you mentioned the Monroe Institute with their Gateway program.
Yes.
That is okay. The Monroe Institute Gateway program, I've taken that course. I did it through they had a remote program for a little while because of COVID. So that was when I had taken it. And that alone, what they do is they train you. Well, I'm going to let you talk about that because
No, 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 no. Keep going. This is good.
they train you how to tap into that higher vibration to
Yep.
connect with the spirit world, to get help from other spiritual beings that are greater than or equal than your own. Um, it's really fascinating, and it's really helped me in my day-to-day life on so many different things.
Right, because one of the characteristics of it is it's literally, you're, as they say, it's an expanded awareness. Um, when your body is totally relaxed, you're just lying there in a comfortable position, but your mind and your consciousness is totally awake. And what they do is you get to perceive things even with your eyes closed, and it sets your mind, it hemisyncs your brain. We were having this conversation in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So when boys and girls are born, girls are born using both sides of their brain. They're hemisync. They utilize a lot of it, both of them at the same time. Boys are only on one side for the most part. But when you get into mathematics, music, art, creativity, something quantum based like calculations, then you start hemisyncing a lot of these artists. And then you have what you have is an expanded perception on things. And then because your brain is hemisyncing and you're using more parts of it at one point in time, you have more or enhanced intuition. And then you get to a deeper connection. So when things are coming. It's like precognition, as I said. There's a lot of straddling between clairvoyance definitions and some other things, but basically it's what your brain can do when you start using more of it. And it's trained properly to be put in alignment. Like if you have a car and one wheel is a little bit off, and you're driving, that's why you need to have an alignment so everything's in balance and the proper balance so that the car rides smoothly. In life, we do not ride smoothly. None of us do, you know. But the more you're into, um, meditation, that's a big important part of using your third eye, your consciousness, and what the gateway experience will be, because you now know how to, um I don't know, like harness yourself. You now start to get balanced, and then from there you build upon it. And as you start using your abilities and your intuition and getting these experiences, it begets other experiences. So when I started, I was doing an investigation with my buddy Al. He started Bronxville Paranormal Society, but I was his right hand man at that point. And we went on an investigation, and we had like 15 other people join us. Before we do an investigation, we have a psychic. Her name is Cindy Bailey Dove. She's really good, even though she doesn't believe in herself, but she's like up there. She's like a 10, but we mess with her anyhow because she's like a sister. She's in Arkansas. And everybody that comes out with us on an investigation, even before we do an investigation, she goes in and reads everybody because it can be dangerous. If you're depressed or you have suicidal thoughts or you got into a fight with your spouse or you're worried about something, you are an open target for the spirit world entities to say, oh, I'm getting into that body tonight. And they hitchhike and they jump into your essence. They get onto your energy because you have a crack in the seam. So, or if you're not prepared to experience what you're going to experience, it could be, detrimental to you in the end. And it's a danger to us. So when she was reviewing everybody after we did this investigation, Al's like, you guys are okay. One of the guys there goes, she got a tingle with you. So she means that you're on, you're more open. You're at a higher level than they are. And you are open to other possibilities and using your intuition. And then Al goes, and then she got to you and she flew off her chair. And she said, you have so many different abilities that she doesn't have and tremendous ones that she does, but you keep your walls up. So I said, yes, of course I do. I live in New York City. I put a club on it as well. I don't want, And so I said, let me, talk to her and see if I can talk to her about it because I didn't want to open a Pandora's box. It's a Pandora's box. So, I'm talking to her and she's like my Yoda. And one of the things, you got to ground yourself. And grounding is very simple. Before you practice anything like this, you have to imagine yourself, your feet attached to the ground and these vines coming up, wrapping around you and holding you. And that gives you a basis and a foundation to stay there, not only physically, but spiritually. And that's where we get into the consciousness. If you don't do that, you easily can drift away and not really get back into your essence. Things can happen. So we put up barriers and walls and whatever. I put up usually a white golden light bubble with mirror on the outside that I can see through, but you can't see in. So I can travel wherever I want and not be caught by any other entities. And we started doing it. And she says, you're psychic like me. And I said, no, I'm a remote viewer because I could sit in my room and I could project, someone asked me a question like, where's the ring? My grandfather's ring. I said, okay, and I focus on the ring and I start seeing it play out like a movie in my head as if I've experienced it. And that's another thing I've been doing my entire life. So I'll see it play out. I'll see the room. I said, it's a big dresser, top drawer. It's in the sock in the left corner because I see it as if it's being whoever put it there. I know where it is. When I used to hang out with friends or people and you tell me a story, like CL tells me like, yeah, we were driving this car and we did like a Dukes of Hazzard. We jumped like barrels and there was fireworks shooting out. If you're telling me the truth, I see it play out in my head as if I'm watching it on screen in a movie. This is exactly how it works out. I can see it. I can smell it. I can taste it. I'm like, okay. Then you get the people that are lying and they tell you something and it comes up in your mind as black. It's all black, gray, black. And I know that you're not telling the truth. Now, here's my caveat. If I'm hanging out with some of the guys or friends, someone tells a really cool story. Sometimes people feel like, ooh, I got to tell something too. So they'll make something up. So I give them a little bit of leeway. But when it comes to investigating or asking people questions on an investigation or just life in general, I can pretty much pick up the energy and know that person's lying. It's just blank. If they're telling the truth, I'll know it. If they're scamming, I'll know it because not only will it be blank, but I'll get that, yeah, this is a scam artist. I'll see them doing it to another person. I'm like, okay, I got you. I know who you are. So it all plays out in your head. And that's part of the gateway experience where you're expanding your perception of things without actually physically, and your intuition and your connection without actually physically touching anybody. You don't have to touch
Mhm.
anybody. Your whole awareness gets shifted to where it needs to be.
That program is so interesting on so many different levels. Not only that, but
Yeah.
they were actually training the military to
Yeah.
be able to look at ships coming over from Miami to see if they were carrying contraband, like
You can
some
do it in a heartbeat. You can you see, as long this I was having a discussion with somebody. We were talking about the consciousness and how this works. And someone I'm friendly with, I haven't talked to him personally, but we're friends online, is Dick Alger. He's part of the Future Forecasters group. Used to be on Hawaii TV, whatever, but he's pretty good remote view. He's really good, actually. He's got a great group. And we're talking about this. They talk about double blinds and triple blinds. So, what a double blind is, person A picks something, right? A target. And that target is, I'm just going to hold up headphones. Okay. Tells person B, this is the target, X275, makes up a number. That person then takes it and to double blind them says, thinks of another object or whatever it is, Eiffel Tower, and then writes down, this is the target, X275. That gives it to the remote viewers. The remote viewers get this. They know nothing else but this. And then they sit there and have their consciousness go in, what is, give me the results. And because this is a target, if you're really good at it, you'll get to this target. You'll see the Eiffel Tower, but you'll know, and it's kind of hard to explain without experiencing it. You'll know that's not it, but there's something else. And then you'll see somebody with headphones. And then you're really drawn to it. The way the universe works, and this is what I used to do initially. I had a friend that said, can you check out this address? So he gave me an address in upstate New York, and I said, never been to it, didn't Google it, didn't see anything of it. I said, okay, focus on the number. And initially I would sit there and close my eyes and kind of meditate, just calm down for like 15 to 20 minutes. And then it would start coming. I'm thinking of and it would come to me, and I would get to this house, and I landed right in the driveway. I'm seeing the house. I'm seeing the driveway to the left a little bit. See some of the front. I see a porch in the front. See the driveway stairs going up, and I'm walking into the house, and I'm like, okay. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, okay, I'm getting lost because I'm traveling through this house. So I used to go, I got to reset. So I just open my eyes, go back in. And they always took me to the same place every time. And I've learned a long time ago, if your problem is, if there's an issue with that house, they want you, and you're looking at the same spot all the time, what you need to know is right over there. So you got to go over to that spot. You don't go through the house, and you'll see it. My same friend, his wife was having night terrors. And before I even went to this guy's house, I said, can I remote view your house to see what's going on? Then a remote view, and I found this one area, looked like it was an opening in it. And I'm like, it's in the closet. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's coming from there. Stage your house. He goes, what are you talking about? And I literally drew on my phone what the room looked like. And I sent it to him in text, and he said, holy cow, you just drew my bedroom in reverse.
Wow.
And so he goes, well, I said, what's in there? He goes, well, there's certain things that are in there. Some of the stuff that I've, used for paranormal investigation. I said, you need to get that out of the room, sage it, and then cleanse that up. The minute he did it, night terrors go away. So that's how it works. They don't need you traveling all over the place trying to figure out what the problem is. They will take you directly to the problem. It's just understanding, okay, now I got it. So now I'm not wasting 30, 40 minutes or 2 hours searching around like, I've been through every inch of this property. What's the problem? But when I do find something, I look for anything else that may be a problem. So in relationship to the house that he wanted, they were like, you were talking about a house and with the creepiness.
Yeah.
Same thing happened in that house. There was somebody that was in underneath the porch. Looked like I could see them peeking in, like they kept the child underneath there. There was some sacrifices going on there. Animal. There are littered bodies of carcasses of animals in the on the property, and then other individuals over many years. This property has bad mojo on it, or for a while, and they were practicing on it. I said, "Don't buy that property," and I explained to him, and he's learned a long time ago. Brian's right 98% of the time, so I'm going to listen to him. And they didn't buy it.
That property I walked on this weekend, it was totally by accident, but this, I had a dream about it the day that it happened. I couldn't.
Premonition.
It's one of those things you just can't shake, right? So I had this
Yep.
dream about it, and then the dream was just wild. And so the next morning, I just kind of meditated a little bit just to try to put the pieces together. And the things that I saw that occurred on that property are just horrendous.
Horrific. Yeah.
Yeah. Since from Reconstruction period all the way up into the 60s, there were people killed and all kinds of things back in there.
Yeah. So. I mean, yeah, there are people, they're not nice, not everything you get ghost wise is demonic. And I don't do demonic, by the way.
People.
I have two, I can't bring anything home. So that's why I don't go there, and it's above my pay grade. I'm not built for that. Let other people, like hire. I know people in the business that like, you want to go play with demons, have a great time. Be back by sunrise. I'm not doing it. I did have an encounter with the devil last year, which I swear was the devil at night. But I'm like, nope, I'm out. Not today, Satan. And I left. And there was a whole bunch of different things happening last year where I had 666 on in my emails. Pops up on your phone. 666. I'm like, oh, even though the total is an 18, which is not a bad number, but which is a 9, but whatever. My car had whatever the number was and 666 on it, and then it died, and it had problems. I was watching an old movie called Running Scared. And in it's, they pulled the camera back and it's Jesus saves a big cross in Chicago. And then the characters, they zoom into the characters that are walking at the 666 lounge right in front of it. I'm like, okay, I left my house, went down to the corner, gas station. And as I pulled in there, I'm like, okay, I need a break from this 666. 10:30 at night, mind you. And I see a black man wearing mirrored sunglasses, dark sunglasses. I think they were mirrored, and a blood red shirt. And I went in to go get a treat. I don't normally do treats. I'm eating jelly beans because they're kind of fun. But I'm just telling you.
The Harry Potter kind.
No, yeah, I don't like all. Those are really buggy. So as I'm walking up there, the guy like, excuse me. And he had the vibe coming off this guy was not good. I felt it when I parked my car. I'm like, this guy's not right. And he goes, can you get to the Bright Line from here? I said, yeah, if you just go down the street all the way down, you can get to it. He goes, oh, I can walk it? And I said, no, man, you can't walk that. You need an Uber or a bus or something like that. And he was looking to get a ride for me. That's what he wanted me to do. I knew it. And I couldn't read him. Everything was saying, Brian, that's the devil. And he gave me this weird smile, and it was not a good one. I'm like, okay. And I walked into the store, and I'm like, that guy's no good. And I go in, I got a Twinkie, which is probably going to be inside me for the next 50 years, and a Fanta, right? Soda. When I got up to the register, hand to God, the bill came out to $6.66.
Oh man!
So I said, exactly. It confirmed what I thought. And I walked out that side entrance where he was, and he just smiled. You have a good night now. And the way he said it was, yeah, I will, buddy. Because, yeah, no, it was just, you just know when you know. I can't explain it to people. Yeah. And someone saying they know you're coming. They do know you're coming. And they want you, especially if you're a good person. Okay. If you're really good in this world and you're not going with the perversions that take place and those, all those guilty pleasures and gluttony and all the sins and everything that, you know, the fallen angel, the light bearer, Lucifer, right? By the way, that's like 2 days prior to all this taking place. I got a message from someone whose name on TikTok, and I have so many people like friend requesting. I'm like, yeah, if I like someone's video, I'll sometimes I'll not only heart it or try to repost it or something just to keep it. TikTok is really weird. Sometimes I will plus them as add them as somebody connected, and I may say great video or whatever, or ask a question because I'm curious about something, and I get a message back, and the person that comes up is Middle Eastern, and he's got the beard and mustache and this really weird look on his face. Look like the guy who played the devil in an episode of the Twilight Zone called The Howling Man. Go look it up. And his name was A Star. And who is Lucifer but the star, the morning star? This is when it all started. And then after I had that experience, and basically that individual threatened to cut my head off.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was weird. I had a friend come out, and she's like, I got a message for you, and you got to remain tough because you're under attack and all this stuff is happening. And I knew it. I knew so many people that were what we call light bearers, people that are doing good, psychic mediums on the positive, people that are practicing, you can call it magic or Wicca or whatever, that's a white witch or whatever. We were under such attack because the forces of evil were now really feeling it from the good side. There is a war going on between good and evil folks, whether you believe it or not.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And there's grasping, they're at their wits end. And I felt it. And when she came out, I was like, I was waiting for this call. It kind of shocked me. But I don't remote view that stuff. I'm not remote viewing hell or heaven. I don't have to. I've actually glimpsed heaven in I was explaining to you beforehand, when you sleep, when everybody goes to sleep, okay, when all the day's BS goes bye-bye and your body goes to rest, you get into a REM sleep, or a theta, an alpha, and a beta waves. And you're at rest, but you're at rest, the physical body. This isn't. And that's when you literally upload your everything you've been doing to the source, Kosh record, whatever you want. And then whoever's up there, they want you to do something, they will put your next day coming or next couple of days into your body. Then you'll wake up and you'll experience what you experience. And they're hoping you're going to learn and not make the same stupid mistakes over and over again. So you change your path to the right direction. Now, when you sleep, sometimes they will give you a little hint or something, but they don't want you to know the full details. So you'll have a dream, and dreams are vague. Like, I think Mark Eddy was there. He may have been having a tutu on, and I use this flying donuts, whatever. That's vague. But when they want you to remember something because they need your help as a light worker, you actually do certain things and you will remember every bit of that. You say, I have the strangest dreams. I can remember everything. I woke up exhausted because even though your physical body wasn't there, your consciousness was there, and you were working all night long doing the task, and they needed you to do the task. And that's going to be a reflection of you down the future. And this
So
all goes back to this.
I kind
Yeah,
of wanted to leave a little bit of time so that we can do a
sure.
little demonstration.
No problem.
Are you up for that?
I'm fine with that.
How do you want to do this?
Um, I mean, do you want to do an exercise for people in the audience?
Yes, because there's a lot remote viewing. The interest in it is pretty high for a lot of people, a lot of listeners out there who
Right.
they want to get into it. I keep talking about the Monroe Institute's Gateway program, which is really expensive now that it's no longer COVID. So they're
Yeah.
looking for other ways to learn how to do this, basically.
I'm gonna let you know a little secret. If you search the Gateway Experience online,
You can
okay,
find.
you're gonna find them.
Also, I have the tapes and downloads. If anybody wants them, just
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm
even
just gonna
has
say
an
that.
angle to it. Anyway,
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna pick a subject, or I'm looking at an image. I'm gonna make my life easier. I'm looking at an image right now, and we can have your audience do this, and it's really simple to do. And you can repeat this over and over and over again. You can do it with your friends. It's a great party trick. Sometimes I'm not condoning drug use, but there are certain things you can, when people get to a certain state where you're more relaxed, you know, it things start to happen. Women, like, like your mother will call you up, "Are you okay, honey?" And they'll know you've just had like an issue. And it's a bodily, it's really weird how it works. They just know. Dads aren't really equipped to it. I am, and I don't read anybody unless you give me permission. Your business, your business. There are only two individuals that I read all the time, and I read their friends. And those are my two daughters. And that will never end. I don't care how old they get, because those are my babies. Okay. And that's it. Other than that, your business is your business. But when you have a certain vibe coming off you, even though I'm expending energy, like I'm not reading you, I don't want to read. If they want you to know, you'll know, and they'll let you know. Hence the devil guy. But I have an image in front of me. I'm looking at an image, and what we can do is this: if you just close your eyes just for a minute, we'll do a 12-second meditation. The longer you meditate, the better it is to go focus on this. And then what I'd like to do is, if you had pen and paper, you can start sketching things. But you can say in chat, you can, if you just say what you're seeing, like, and whatever it is, do not overthink it. Whatever, if the first thing comes up to, like, you know, crayon, I'm just looking around, jelly bean, say it. Say if you get a taste in your mouth, and we'll start now, and we'll do 10 seconds. I'll just talk for 10 seconds. Just relax. Close your eyes for a minute. Focus on the image. You can focus on what I'm seeing. Say, I want to see what Bryan is seeing right now. I want to describe this. Please let me see. And then
you can put it in the comments.
you just put it into the comments. Well, CL can do this, so I could put her on. But please put it into the comments. Maybe Mark Eddy could help us by focusing and telling me what he sees. And that's about 9 seconds, and we'll just do a couple more seconds.
Should I
And
play some like little music? Let me see if I have anything that would work
ooh,
here.
I have music, but that's good.
All right.
I used to do binaural beats.
Yeah, I don't have any downloaded. That's the problem.
Yeah, I trust me. I just picked something because I just figured it's
Let me see if I can. Hold on a minute. Maybe.
very interesting.
Hold on a second. Let me pull something up real quick here.
Sure. It's an interesting subject. Also, if you do have a question, I will try to give you an answer. You want to add to it. So
Hold on, YouTube has to play their little commercial, and then I'll share it.
that's
Okay.
not a problem.
Okay, you guys ready? Let me see if I can get this.
And what's interesting is even your listeners that listen afterwards can still do this because what is being seen will always be. Because it is seen and known, you can still connect to it. So try this.
Okay, so everybody, we're going to meditate for 10 seconds. I'm going to play this hemi-sync here. And we'll start now.
That's a good one to play. Wiping out the negative energy. That's great. By the way, you can use these things to also repair body parts. I used a frequency that repaired the eyes, and it worked. I was blown away by it. I'm waiting for someone to throw up something in chat. I think some people sometimes they get a little bit nervous about it because people like, I don't want to be wrong.
It's okay to be wrong. I mean,
Trust me, it's great to be wrong.
All right.
Yeah. Hold on. Your heart is racing. Very good. Eye of Providence. That's interesting. Oh, that relates so well. That's thank you very much for that. Your throat is okay. That's good.
I'll throw one out too. I see something round.
Okay.
Well, I could be totally wrong because that thing was round.
Well, tell me if you want me to reveal it. I will reveal it.
What about the audience? Did you get anything out there?
Well, Tobias said, I see Eye of Providence. Keep seeing pyramids. My heart is racing.
Hoping it was Halloween decor. That
would be hoping it was Halloween decor.
See if there's anything else.
This is really interesting because images in your head, like it was Halloween decor. I'm gonna explain to you also when you're ready for the reveal of what it was. And this is really a quick one. Okay, it works better when you focus a little bit more on it. So
yeah,
that's the image.
Time.
It's the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. It's a great album. When you said you saw something round, it comes off a CD.
Oh man, and I even saw yellow. I was thinking it was from the video.
Now, what's very interesting is here's the pyramids. Okay. So she was with I think she dated one of the Marleys, and one of her song is the To Zion. And when you're dealing with Rastafari and Zion and the Lion of Zion and the pyramids, there is a connection. Now, the throat tightening on this could be the singing, and the unsettling images in your head, Tiffany, could very well be the combative relationship that this woman has had with what's going on in her life. Because I don't think it was a great life with the person she's with. And she's been through a hell of a lot. And everybody's like, well, you're stretching. I'm not stretching. There is so much more you're tapping into, believe it or not. And I'll tell you the truth, Tabitha, sorry. I thought it was Tobias. I have dirt on my my screen. Pardon me, Tabitha. What happens? What does music do to you? It does race your heart. It's beating, and it's your heartbeat. This is why indigenous, when they do the drums, it's your heartbeat. And music is supposed to touch you in that way as well. There's a lot of relationship to pyramids in Egypt, and where is Egypt? It's in Africa. Lauryn Hill goes back to her roots, which are from Africa. But it sounds crazy, but these are hits in the grand scheme of things.
Mm-hmm.
The more you do it, you start getting into like real stuff. I'll give you an example. Well, the more you do it, the more abilities come out. So you get the psychic ability. I missed a friend of mine. You get the premonition ability too, where I was talking to a friend of mine during COVID. He was freaking out because he had these dreams of fire around him. He was praying more than he got a vibration. While he was praying, it felt like his head was trying to encompass his whole body. And I was explaining to him, you're connecting brain, body, mind, heart, soul. That's you let it happen, because then you vibrate at a higher frequency. Long story short, he was sick. He died during COVID, and we went to his funeral. I went to his funeral. I saw him there with met his family. They said great things about me, and what he was seeing is they were cremating him. He was cremated, and the image of fire around him and not being able to get out was him seeing, precognition of his own cremation and death. But we didn't connect the dots until I was like, oh my God. Okay. That begets certain things. One of the things I had, it was last year. I didn't like it. The kids go to school early down in Florida. So I had to drive my two daughters down. The night before they went out to class, I said, let's go to dinner. I'm sitting there, and we had this nice waitress. They came over. It was great. My two daughters in front of me. And this other waitress comes out, and instantaneously I see it play out. There's a heavy set Latino man, 5 o'clock shadow. They're at the bar. He's like, I'll drive you home. Don't worry about it. I'll take you home. She's like, I don't know. Maybe I'll get don't worry about it. And she said, okay. And she went with him. And the next image I saw was her lying dead, blew around the mouth. She was killed. Looked like she'd been beaten up. I freaked out. As a father, I'm seeing this take place. I didn't know what to do. I don't want to sound like a crazy person. I know too many people that are psychics do not get involved because they know exactly where things are. And then if you go to the police department, you become a suspect. So I walked outside. I'm trying to figure out, I call, who the heck can I call? How do I deal with this? I can't let this girl perish. She needs to take an Uber home. So I finally get to one of my buddies. And of course, she's great, Cisco. She's like, don't worry, I got you. This happens all the time. And I'm like, what? So she says, just tell her, say, I'm a medium. I have a caution for you. Whatever you do, take an Uber home. Do not take the ride with anybody at the bar. I said, okay, whatever. So I'm waiting. My kid's like, what's wrong, Dad? and I'm waiting. It's kind of unnerving. The woman doesn't come out. We're getting ready to leave, and we're walking out. And then I walked to the back to pay, hoping she would come out, and I can tell her she didn't. So as we're walking out, I see her coming out, and I said, "Stay here." And I walked towards her, which scared the hell out of her. She's like, "Can I help you?" And I said it. I said, "I'm a medium. I have a caution for you. Whatever you do when you're staying at the bar or late at night, do not take the ride from the person that you're there with. Take an Uber. Call an Uber." And she's like, "What?" And I explained it again. She goes, "Okay, say it again." And I said, "Whatever you do, don't take the ride from somebody. You're at the last bar. I don't care if it's this bar or another bar, and you see the guy, you see him all the time. Do not take a ride from anybody. Call an Uber." She goes, "Oh, okay." And I got the heck out of there. I went home, and I'm going to send you actually something, the 7-second video on with a prayer for Archangel Michael, which helped cut the tie between what I was seeing and whatever. So I played that a couple of times. I told my friend I did it, and I was freaked out because I paid by credit card. And if something happens to her, I'm going to be, I'm the one that told her. So I'm going to be a prime suspect. Long story short, the next day I got up, I was feeling better. And I said, "Let me think." And I focused on this person, and she was fine. She was handing stuff, and she was doing something at a house. And I was like, "Oh, okay, she's fine." I avoided that restaurant for almost a year. And somehow we met some friends there, and we walk in, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is the place. I gotta be," and I'm looking around for her, didn't see her. And as I'm walking out, I'm like, "Excuse me, sir, sir." And I turn around, it's the girl. And I go, "Yes." And I'm like bugging out right now. And she goes, "You're the one that told me to take the Uber, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, I did." She goes, "I can't thank you enough. I did what you said, but my other friend didn't. And she got beaten up and almost died."
Wow.
So,
Well,
so I
Bryan,
mean, yeah,
on that note, we are just about out of time. We're out of
no
time.
problem.
It went by so fast, but I want to
Yes.
leave like a minute or two for you to tell people where to find you.
I'm usually in Facebook jail. um, But you can find me Wednesday nights on my channel. My show is Third Eye Live. We broadcast every Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. I'm gonna have CL on actually in October, and I can't wait. And I'm doing it through my profile. So at symbol, my name right there, BRYAN BOWDEN. Look for me online on there. It's under a playlist. It's all Third Eye Live. I have my interviews on another one. I post anything UFO related on another one. My songs, my poetry, everything's there. I am tired of promoting 15 different things. It's just through my YouTube, and I'd love you to be there because we it's not just paranormal, but we always get a little paranormal questions in there. We have music, we have art, and we have other things, and we always try to leave you with something to make you feel better. So, and I'm available if you seriously on Facebook, Bryan M. Bowden. Say, "Hey, I saw you with CL Thomas. I have this question," and we'll get connected.
Well, Sir Bryan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. This was a great show.
Thank you very much, Gail, for having me. I'm honored to
Thank
be.
you so much. You're such a great guest.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to now flipping it on you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to all the audience out there. You've been listening to The Gateway, broadcast from the edge of the Mojave where the strange slips through the cracks. Live from United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM, New Orleans. And I hope you enjoyed the show. And you know what? I might just start a remote viewing circle coming soon. We'll see. I'm kind of really tied with time right now, but I think it'd be something interesting to do if everyone got together, like, for an hour once every other week or something, just to practice those kind of skills. That might be interesting. So stay tuned and thank you all for listening. I'll see you next time.